Alright guys, so I'm going to keep on heating this up. When I'm ready to dunk it, I'm going to check it and make sure it's not magnetic. And once we're ready to dunk it, we'll bring you back so you can see the dip. Okay, we're just about there. Alright Rich, you might want to, Mr. Cameraman, you might want to back up this a little bit, because when I dunk this, it's going to burst into flames. Didn't do it this time. So the blade's all hardened now. There we go. Next step is going to be, we're going to take it home. We're going to degrease it, get as much of the grease off of it as we can, and then we're going to temper it. A little note about tempering. Tempering can be a little bit on the tricky side. You want to make sure that you know what is the optimum method for tempering the steel that you have. In our case, in the case of this knife and this build, I don't know what kind of steel it is. It is a complete mystery, and with the hardening method, it could be a type of steel that likes to be air quenched. It could be there's so many different ways it could be done, and you never know which one it is if you don't have the identification of the steel you're using. So in our case right now, I'm going to treat it like I would like a 1095 steel. I'm going to oil quench it, what you saw, and then we're going to on my last knife build, I took the knife blade and I tempered it at 400 degrees for an hour, for 1 hour. Turned out that it was a little bit on the still on the brittle side, so I actually took it back. When I ended up breaking the tip off of it, and I ended up preparing the tip, and I threw it back in the oven again for another, I think it was an hour. So I think on this one I'm going to give it, or a half hour. So on this one I'm going to give it an hour and a half at 400 degrees, and we'll see how it goes. I think it should be okay, so we're going to cross our fingers. And just remember that if you're new to knife building and you really want to have something nice or something you could sell or whatever it is, go out and buy yourself a decent knife blank. And usually when you buy these blanks, they come with the information on how to temper it, or it can be researched because you'll have the identification of the steel. So that being said, guys, I'm going to take this home. We're going to clean it up. We're going to toss it in the oven 400 degrees. I'm not sure if I'm going to show you that, but maybe I will. We'll see. And then we start cleaning her up and then putting the handle on, and then we get to test it. So there's a timer set for an hour and a half and 400 degrees. So we'll check it out in a little bit. Alright guys, so I got it all cleaned up. It was pretty goopy after that mess. I'm still gonna wash it down with some soap to get any residual oils off of here. I left the bevel the way it is. It's all black like that. That'll be removed all through the sharpening process. For the most part, it's pretty straight. The only issue I have is just around here. It very slightly goes to the left. I'm going to gently try to bend that back, but if it doesn't work, I'm just going to leave it. In a past build, I had worked a long time. I was doing my first flat grind on a Mora style design, and I tried to bend it, and the knife broke on me, and I don't want that to happen again. I can live with a very tiny little deviation in the blade. I'll try to see if I can get you to see it. It's really small. I don't know if you can see it. It's just a tiny little bit. I'm still going to work out this little bit. It's really small. I'll gently give it a try and see if I can get it to go back, but I really don't want to snap my blade. I have to start from scratch. That'll just drive me nuts. So anyway, we'll start to work on the handle a little bit, and then see if we can put all this back together. So the part that you're going to be putting on the front of your handle, you're going to want to try to finish that up as nice as possible before you glue it, because it's going to be very difficult to be able to get your sanding materials up close to the edge of the blade before once it's all glued on. So we're going to try to get that as nice as possible. We're looking pretty even with the file so far. I'm just going to take down this bit here a little bit more, maybe come down a little bit more on this side, and then we should be just about ready to stick that on and then finish up the handle. We've got that all cleaned up, nice and smooth. So we could probably start knocking these pins together. All right, so back again. We got the handle basically prepped to be able to glue it on. One thing I just wanted to mention too, one thing I like to do is I like to take some really coarse sandpaper and just kind of rough up the handle where I'm going to be you know, gluing it together. In my mind, it's going to stick better together like that. I could be full of crap, who knows? But to me, it just makes me feel better. So I'm going to go ahead and just rough this up a tiny little bit over where most of the wood's going to make contact to the steel, and hopefully it'll give some extra adhesion and you know, give it a stronger bond. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we're going to put the handle together and glue it. So we're going to be using Gorilla Glue to glue the handles together. It's not your usual epoxy, but I have used Gorilla Glue on all but one of my knives, and it has held up really, really well. So okay, so we got our pins in there, our lanyard loop, everything's pushed together. So we're gonna spin it up into this clamp here. All right, guys, so that's it for now. We've got the handles on. Pins are all the way through. We've basically tightened up everything with some clamps. You want your clamps to be pretty firm, but you don't want it to be excessively tight because you don't want to squeeze out all the glue. But I've clamped them down pretty good. So now we just have to wait until tomorrow before we can start shaping the handle some more. So you can see already at the top here. I want to see if I can zoom in on that. The reason why we put the tape is because the Gorilla Glue reacts with water and it starts to foam up and it expands into the wood and really adheres to pretty much everything it's going to touch. So it starts to foam up. Now once this comes up, we'll be able to peel this tape off and that'll come right off with it, with some luck anyway. We'll come back and check this out tomorrow. 2. Well, there we go. We'll have to grind down all the metal bits first, and then we'll start shaping the handle. Kind of excited for this. Okay, so I've got a black line here. I've already done the other side, but I just want to show you this. I got this black line here. I want to drop it down, remove this much material so far, and then we'll start going in with the file after and kind of evening everything out. Just a quick note, guys, if you know, when you're doing this at home, it is always a good idea to wear some ear protection, some eye protection, and possibly a mask too, with all the little fragments of glue flying around when you're grinding things down. It's definitely a good idea to you know, to wear some protection, follow some safety procedures, maybe even wear gloves if that angle grinder happens to catch your hand. You'll definitely know. I just tore off a strip of 120 sandpaper, and let's round out those corners. Alright guys, so for the most part, we're finished. I'm going to bring you in close and give you a look at it. Handle is done. I sanded it down pretty nice. It's pretty comfortable. I went from from 120 to 320 to 120, 320, and then at 1200. It is a bit of a big jump, but I don't like it to be super... I don't know, I didn't have anything in between. I had some 600 wet dry, but I find it always ends up making my my wood stain a little bit. So I just basically went a quick jump to 1200 just to take off the edge. And once we oil it up, it starts soaking in. It'll really kind of, I don't know, make it grippy. But I'm gonna give you a quick look at what it looks like. All right, guys. So there she is. I'm just gonna hit her up with some oil a little bit later, and that's it pretty much. You can't even tell where the wood and the blade start or finish, the wood and the steel. Well, it's pretty nice. All that's left really much is to sharpen it up, but I'm not going to show you that. I think the next time you see this knife, we're going to be out testing it in the field. So let's just get some mineral oil in this handle. So on all my knives, I use mineral oil. It's food grade. You'd find it in your pharmacy or whatever it is. I use this to condition all my handles. Works quite well. So let's put some on the handle and see how it looks. Make sure you get all the way around and all the little, whoops, all the little spots. So typically what I'll do is I'll rub this in all over. I'll let it sit for an hour or so, maybe 2 hours, maybe even overnight, and I'll hit it up with another shot a little bit later, and see if we can get this to clear up a little bit. There we go. So that's our knife, guys. What do you think? All recycled materials except for the pins I bought. Blade was recycled, handle was recycled, tube was a pressure gauge for your tires that I opened up. It was broken. I opened it up and I used it for a lanyard ring, and the pins I bought. So total cost of this knife besides time was $6. Right, so we got it all sharpened up. How's that look, guys? So there we go. Got her sharpened up, put onto a strop. It's looking pretty good, I think. All right, guys. So she's all done. I'd like to hear your thoughts. No, it's pretty cool. You know, everything that this whole knife was built from was all salvage materials. You know, is it as good as what a custom knife builder would make? No, it's not. But you know what? It's my own. Everything out here was, you know, the handles was a leftover piece of board that I had from doing an old fish a fish tank stand. The saw blade was given to me from a friend. That was it was a half saw blade, like you saw in the first installment of this series. The lanyard ring, or the tube that I put inside here, that was just an old pressure gauge that wasn't working for my tires anymore. So I took that and I cut it open and I used that as my lanyard ring. So total cost of this whole knife was $6, not including time, for just the pins that I had to buy. And I believe they were like $5.50 or something like that, and with tax and all that, it was like $6.10, something like that. Anyway, so pretty cheap. So you know, I want to encourage you guys to go out and give this a try. You know, it should be fun. I'm not going to show the sharpening process of this. I mean, everyone pretty much knows how to sharpen a you know, a Scandi grind. So anyway, the next time we see this knife, we're going to be out in the field and we're going to be testing it, see how she performs. So I want to thank all you guys for you know, sticking around in this 3-part series and watching this build. I really enjoyed it. Been making it. It was a lot of fun. Learned a lot, and no, I'm not sure if I'm going to make another one sometime soon, but I would like to make another one. It was a lot of fun. So you guys take care. See you again soon, and hopefully next time we'll be out in the woods having some fun, either testing this knife or you know, having some lunch. You guys take care. I'll see you in the next one.